At the top of the 10,000-mile cliff, a man says this place reminds him of ancient times, especially when he dreamed of becoming a martial god. An ambitious dream, but one he wanted to achieve. Whenever he told someone, they called him crazy, so he trained like a madman. He thought his training was enough to achieve his dream, but in the end, it wasn't. Someone appears behind him and calls out for the insane demon. The protagonist looks back, and the left arm of the demon cult tells him not to waste time and return the celestial pearl. The insane demon asks if he didn't hear what he said earlier, but the man responds that now he has nowhere to run and this is the end for him. The insane demon pulls the pearl from his pocket and asks if this is what they want. Then he threatens to throw it off the 10,000-mile cliff. The men say he can continue talking then. The demon says he is an expert in mind games and strategies and would never fall into a sexual trap. However, the man behind him says that's just what he thinks and hints that he was only not deceived by women because they were too scared to try. The poor guy doesn't even have peace before death. That's why the only women who took the mission were the ugly ones, and everyone knows it. The two stare at each other suddenly, and the demon threatens once more to throw the pearl off the cliff. He says again that to become the god of martial arts, he trained in a bit of everything. He really is what they say, the insane demon. The men seem unconcerned with what he said and continue staring. They ask if he's finished, and he says no. The demon says that in this situation, the time he spent bringing peace to the world now seems useless. The left arm says that doesn't make sense since he is one of the most wanted on the Empire's list. Once again, he shows the pearl and threatens to throw it away. The man apologizes and tells him to continue again. The demon says that seeing how he controls himself because of the pearl, it seems very important. He killed about 100 demon cult soldiers while being chased, but now everyone is holding back. The left arm starts to lose his temper, saying he's going too far. They stare at each other for a moment, and the demon says that this bloodlust shows he wants to kill him. But first, he'll throw the pearl off the cliff because it would be a nuisance to fight with it in hand. The left arm apologizes and says they need to talk first. The demon says it's not the time to talk since he's been chased for days without being able to eat or sleep. The poor guy didn't even have time to use the bathroom, and the man says that's their strategy. The demon threatens, and the left arm asks what he's going to do. With the pearl in hand, he says it's time for them to suffer his way and eats the pearl. The left arm starts sweating, and the demon says it has an unexpected taste like peach. The man curses him, and the half-dead demon smiles, saying he made the right choice. The man then orders them to attack and not let him leave alive. The men rush toward the demon. He slides his foot and prepares for combat. The first one comes, and he slashes him with his blade, dodges a cut, and lands a blow to the stomach. The poor guy goes flying while another comes at him. The demon dodges again and delivers an elbow to the back. Even surrounded, he dodges 3 blades, and the man starts trembling. With his hand, he strikes one in the chest and another in the stomach, breaking everyone's ribs. The poor guys all go flying. They hit the ground like pieces of trash, and the demon stands there. He calls for the left arm and asks how long he'll let his subordinates die. The man says he'll face him and orders everyone to stand back. The demon says he's full of himself for someone who hid while he was being hunted. The left arm tells him to shut up and charges forward. The demon prepares and tells him to come in with everything. The guy comes exploding with aura, even preparing a raise again. The demon also tries to gather energy, but he's clearly not in the best shape. However, he guarantees that at least he'll take the left arm with him. They face each other. It's Sasuke versus Naruto. The explosion in the middle of the cliff blinds everyone, and no one can see what's happening. The demon is thrown off the mountain peak. In the air, he realizes his body was too worn out to handle that guy. However, down below, the left arm wonders if the insane demon was really that strong with such a broken body. His arm is twisted, and he realizes the demon was stronger than everyone thought. Yet seeing he threw the guy far away, he shouts for him. As the demon smiles, thinking that dying while seeing this guy panic isn't so bad. He hopes their leader kills everyone. And with that, he is gone with the left arm looking from the peak. He looks at everyone and tells them to go down the cliff and find his body quickly. In the void, the demon only thinks that at least he managed to kill a few and even stole a sacred item. Maybe if people knew this, he would be considered the martial artist of the year. However, the big question he asked himself before dying is why he never managed to date a hot girl. The poor guy was really destroyed in another life. Suddenly, he finds himself in a golden void. Looking around, he has no idea where he is. An old bearded man appears, saying he ate something that contained his soul and must be crazy. The demon looks at the man and realizes he is extremely strong in a second. The old man says it doesn't matter and warns that the pearl he consumed carried the souls of countless martial artists. Now that he did this, other souls are trapped in his. When he sleeps, the souls will wake him, and when he eats, the souls will share the food. Besides that, they will cling to anyone he touches. However, his energy will increase to an uncontrollable state. Strangely, the demon seems to like all this. The old man wonders if the kid is too dumb to realize he will go into overload. The old man then says he will ask only one thing. Why did he swallow the celestial pearl? The look in that man's eyes makes the demon hesitate. His power goes beyond comprehension, and he knows that if he gives the wrong answer, he will die right there. The old man says to answer sincerely. The demon says he ate it just to ensure the cult leader couldn't eat it. The old man asks why. He says he hates the demon cult since they don't see humans as equals. The old man says he understands that he ate it to prevent someone who doesn't see others as humans from getting stronger. He scratches his beard, saying that in a way, this is like doing good, and that it's a good reason. The demon breathes a sigh of relief. The old man then says the lifeline he will receive will be the last existing one, and he won't be able to help him as he will receive a punishment. The demon seems not to understand what he is talking about, while the old man says it is the best choice he can give. He clasps his hands around the pearl, saying this is the best gift he can receive. The demon looks confused, and the old man disappears in a flash of light. The next second, in a house in the middle of the mountains, he suddenly gets up from bed. Looking around, he recognizes it. This was the inn he lived in as a child. Wow, is this the boy when he was a child? That explains why he died without a girlfriend. His name is Yuzaha. Looking around, he is sure where he is and knows it's not a dream. He wonders what happened then. He was about 20 years old when he lived there. Now his worn-out face makes more sense, but the first thing the guy thinks is that now he will be able to train in martial arts earlier than before. He practiced once, so he will be able to get stronger much faster. He clenches his fists, saying he will become even stronger. However, he feels pain and realizes his face is bruised and he got beaten up. Leaving the room, the entire living room is destroyed. Seeing this, he remembers it was a certain time. Two guys called him and asked why he was saving money. Yuzaha thought he wouldn't talk about his parents' death and that he was desperate for money, so he said his dream was to go to a massage parlor and listen to a girl named Chi Yang sing. The guys said it was a modest dream. However, a rumor started spreading that the boy from the Zaha Inn was desperately asking for money to sleep with Chi Yang. Zaha remembers that all this was a joke but turned into a distorted rumor, and given the state of the inn, he went right back to that time. He gets angry, thinking he got beaten up just because of that. But first, he needs to assess the state of his body before deciding what to do. He sits down to understand his power and uses the ancient techniques of the insane demon. He realized how weak his body was at this time and continued practicing. The sun set and night arrived. Zaha was impressed. His progress for the first day had been very good. Remembering that the old man said he received the best gift, he thought maybe this was it. Perhaps this extra power had to do with the celestial pearl he consumed. Unfortunately, he is still very weak, but he relaxes, thinking at least he will become much stronger than he expected. He then decides to take a look at the Iliang province. Walking through the city, his memory gradually returns. A man picking his teeth sees him passing by. He tells the other next to him that it's the kid from the Zaha Inn, and both are impressed that he is alive. Everyone in the city knows he got beaten up and thinks he is a loser. Zaha hears everything they are saying and starts getting angry. Suddenly, he stops and recognizes the place as the House of Joy he so wanted to visit. He was beaten up by several guys for saying he wanted to spend some sweet time with Chi Yang. The guys beat him, saying he should forget that dream. When he looked to the side, he saw Chi Yang staring. He thought she would be more powerful, if you know what I mean. Zaha didn't understand why he was being treated like that since he didn't say that. He then returned to the inn and found it destroyed too. He puts his hand on his head, saying even the insane demon had moments like this. But he returned to the perfect time. It's time to resolve this confusion. Someone behind him asks what the errand boy is doing there. He looks back and the guy asks if he came to set fire to the amusement park. He says he better give up on that because he would be scared if he saw fire. The guy gets in his face, saying it's impressive he didn't die. But it would have been better if he had stayed at the inn instead of walking around here. Zaha says nothing and the guy starts asking if he is deaf. Suddenly, he asks the guy what his name is. The guy loses his temper out of nowhere and comes to punch him, but lazily Zaha just dodges. He lightly taps the guy's chin and he falls to the ground. Zaha walks away, wondering why the guy got mad since he just asked his name. He then arrives in front of the amusement park. The guy asks why the same kid is here again. Zaha questions if that is the right way to talk to a customer, but the Hafed already comes to hit him. Zaha easily ducks, puts his hand on the guy's face, and smashes him to the ground. The poor guy went to sleep peacefully. He walks away, saying that place really has no sense of service. Everyone inside was calm, until a Hafed opens the door and shouts for everyone to come and receive the customer. The guys are surprised and stare at him. Zaha stands there with a smile on his face. Everyone starts wondering if he is the kid from the inn. Did he go crazy after the beating? The guys approach, asking if he has gone mad and where he thinks he is. Zaha smiles, saying he came there to drink. The guy loses his temper and goes to slap him, but someone tells him to stop and says to let him in. Zaha recognizes the man as Cho Sumte, the manager of the amusement park. He tells everyone they can't throw out a customer who just came to drink. Zaha smiles and tells the guys to listen well. He enters, and the man tells them to seat him at a good table. He then goes upstairs, and the man guides him to one of the rooms. At the door, the man asks what he will drink, and Zaha says to bring the best they have in that filthy place. The man tells him to be careful with his words, and Zaha asks what will happen. Does he not like the errand boy ordering him around? The man is losing his temper and wondering if the kid has gone crazy. He then just leaves, telling him to wait. Zaha sits calmly. Someone serves a drink, and he asks what it is. One of the honest workers says it's high-quality Duquan liquor. She served, and Zaha asked if Cha Hyan was there. However, the woman warned him not to talk about it as the owner would get angry. Zaha said it seemed everyone in the province already knew he got beaten up because of her, but he told her to bring her quickly. The woman sighed and said she would call her. Looking at the wine, Zaha realized that judging by the smell, it was not even third rate. There really were only scoundrels in that place. Suddenly, someone came running and opened the door asking who he thought he was. Calmly, Zaha asked if it was wrong for an errand boy to drink in the amusement park. Everyone thought he had gone completely mad. Zaha remembered the guy's name as Dungwak. He told him to come closer, saying he would serve him a drink. The guy sat down and asked if they hit him too hard last time, making him go crazy. Zaha ignored him, poured the drink, and handed it to him. The guy said it would be better for him to disappear after finishing this drink before things got complicated. However, calmly, Zaha called his name. The guy slammed his hand on the table and went to slap him, but Zaha pricked his hand lightly. I just gave him a small smile. He said he just wanted to see Cha Hyang before leaving, so why was everyone acting like a mad dog in that place? Suddenly, the door opened. It was Cha Hyang with an angry look. She told her brother Dungwak to wait outside. Zaha said it was good for him to wait outside anyway, and with that, the guy ran out. He closed the door, she sat down, and Zaha smiled. She was curious and asked why he was smiling. Zaha said for no reason, or was an errand boy supposed to control his emotions in this place? She questioned if he found the situation funny. Zaha said he had the money. She then questioned, saying that wine was very expensive and he would have to pay for Dungwak's medicine and for his own good. He should pay for everything and leave. Zaha thought it was the first time he saw Cha Hyang up close. She warned that not even with a bucket of gold would she bungee jump on him in that park. She worked there but did not go out with just anyone. Zaha hit the table and said he would be clear. The money he saved was not to go to her park but to listen to her sing, since he heard she sold art instead of her body. She was going to say she didn't hear that, but Zaha said it was a joke he made at the inn. He didn't want to do it and didn't even have money if he wanted to, and that was why he looked for her, so now she could leave. She was startled and he repeated that she could leave. Suddenly, 3 guys opened the door. They called for Zaha and said it looked like he came to die this time. It was better for him to leave now, or they would have to clean up the blood. Zaha calmly set the drink down, saying he would finish it first. The guys couldn't believe his audacity, and Zaha asked if they were unsure they could kill him at any moment. The guys were speechless and began to laugh like madmen. They then sat down, saying this would be his last drink. Among themselves, they said this guy was more of a man than they thought, coming here and even calling for Cha Hyang. If they knew the kid was like this, they would have given him a better beating. The leader said that this way, at least he shouldn't find it unfair to be beaten more this time, right? He asked Zaha again if he was right. Zaha ignored him and asked if he wanted a drink. The leader changed his expression and said if he was finished, it was better to leave soon. Zaha poured another drink and tasted it, saying it was ridiculous that they sold something so bad, calling it high quality. The 3 just stared. The leader couldn't believe he was so relaxed, wondering if he went crazy after the beating. Zaha was about to pour another drink, but now the drink was finished, so he said he had something to ask. Then he said, "My old friends, am I really a joke?" The guy chuckled, saying he was a joke because just from one beating, things escalated to this point. Zaha tried to contain his laughter and the guys began losing their temper. Zaha laughed at them and they laughed at Zaha. Suddenly, they pulled a blade toward him. Zaha kicked the table. They stood up with the table in front of them and Zaha kicked it again. The table flies, hitting the guys and smashing everyone against the wall. The 3 fall to the ground already defeated. Calmly, he steps on them and asks if he is still a joke. Outside, the hostess is sweating, only hearing someone asking if they are still a joke. It is Zaha stepping on the guys and the entire table is already destroyed. She can't understand how that happened. Zaha calls her old and orders more of that trash liquor. She doesn't like being called old and warns that Duquan liquor is one of the finest. But Zaha warns that he doesn't like hitting women who don't know martial arts, so she should think twice before opening her mouth. With that, she turned around. Zaha just looked to the side and then at the ground. The guys were destroyed. He squatted and kept asking if they wouldn't say he was a joke. Suddenly, an army was coming down the corridor. It was Cho Sung-tae who stared at him. Zaha smiled. He entered the room and looked at everything destroyed. Then he asked if Zaha had gone crazy. At this rate, he was going to die. Zaha asked if he really was going to die and Cho Sung-tae said yes. They stared at each other for a second, with Zaha laughing and the guy in disbelief. Suddenly, he rushed forward. He tried to strike at Zaha's neck, but Zaha had already ducked and grabbed a barrel. Confidently and without mercy, he smashed it on his head. The guys behind couldn't believe it, and the poor guy started leaking motor oil. Zaha asked if anyone else there wanted to fight. With one look, everyone trembled. Sung-tae then warned that it seemed he really wanted to die. But the demon said he should think very carefully before drawing that blade. If he finished unsheathing it, he would die. That caused fear in Sung-tae. He was sure the guy wasn't lying, but how was that possible? Zaha said that Sung-tae, as the most capable person in the province, should understand what was happening. Or did he think those 3 guys were covered in food by bad luck? Or that his eye was hurt by chance? Sung-tae just listened silently. Zaha gave one last warning to think very carefully before acting, because if he didn't sheathe that sword, he would die. Sumte thought and realized the threat wasn't empty because he didn't even see the kid's movement. So he told everyone to go down and wait. He sheathed the blade and asked Zaha what he was planning. Was he looking to hear the owner's apologies after what happened? Zaha said that sounded good since the owner would have to come. Sumte then said he would call the owner. Zaha asked if he had gone blind. Sumte said no, and Zaha warned that he thought he would die when he was beaten by the guys. Sumte looked outside and told them to prepare a table for him. He said if he didn't want to kill those lying guys, he should let them treat their wounds. Zaha calmly stared at him, thinking Sumte really could stay calm. So he just agreed and the guys were taken out. He sat at the table and asked what mess that was and why it happened suddenly. Zaha just looked at the liquor on the table. Sumte said that it was one of Duquan's finest, so it should be good, and served it to him. Our protagonist wanted to know if it was the same trash they brought earlier. Sumte explained they brought a low-quality bottle because unfortunately, they still needed to make a profit in that place. Zaha told him to shut up and drink quickly because he thought it was poisoned. Sumte drank without fear and asked since when he was so good at fighting. The demon lied bluntly, saying he didn't fight because his father told him not to. But Sumte caught the lie immediately. Yet, he apologized for everything that happened earlier. Zaha said he was the son of a very friendly mother and thanked him for understanding. However, he warned that he was getting tired of these apologies. Would he have to break bones to change that? Suddenly, Sumte was startled, went to the ground and kneeled, begging for forgiveness. He said it was the first time in his life he sincerely apologized. Cha Hang entered the room in disbelief, wondering what was happening. Her brother Sumte was kneeling in front of the errand boy and still had his face wounded. Was he another one who lost to the boy? Zaha called for Cha Hang and Sumte told her to control herself. She went to serve Sumte, but he told her to serve Zaha first. Trembling, she sat beside him and poured a small drink. He called her name and she asked what it was. He said that even an errand boy like him could have a pure love. She was surprised to hear that, but he said that love was never directed at her, so she should leave because she was ruining the atmosphere. She stood up in shock, paused, and Sumte told her to leave quickly. Embarrassed, she left. Sumte said she would probably cry because of that. Zaha told him to stop being so rude in front of him and he smiled, apologizing. But Zaha stared at him as the apology was not good enough, and Sumte kept looking back, almost kneeling again. Zaha asked when the owner would arrive. Sumte explained that if he was in the dark mystic forest, it would be difficult for him to arrive quickly. Zaha recognized the name and said those guys were a bunch of unjust people. Sumte explained that the leader had gone to close a partnership. Zaha understood that even if he resolved this, the Dark Society would get involved. He asked if Sumte wanted him to accept just a drink as an apology. Sumte said no and asked what he wanted. The Sly One said he wanted him and all of his brothers to serve as his subordinates. But Sumte questioned, saying people wouldn't accept that. Zaha said maybe he would create his own sect in the Liang province and those guys would be his subordinates. Sumte didn't believe it, but Zaha told him to choose quickly if he would stand with the owner and the Dark Mystic Society or with Zaha. Sumte thought the boy had changed too much. Who talks about creating a sect as if it were so simple? Suddenly, he got up to leave and Sumte asked where he was going. The protagonist asked if he thought he was trying to escape. Sumte said yes and just stared at him, saying he deserved a beating. With that, Sumte greeted him, saying he would cover his cost today. Zaha told him to do whatever he wanted and left the room with the guys surrounding him. With one look, everyone opened the corridor. Calmly, he walked through. When he had already descended the stairs, he heard someone shouting, asking where the hell the boy who touched him was. Zaha approached and asked the doorman if he had woken up. The crazy doorman came to hit him in the face, but took one to the side of the head and spun to the corner of the room. Zaha said it was better to explain to everyone or people would keep getting knocked out. Crossing his arms, he said the errand boy had a lot of fun there today. The Sly One smiled, heading back home. On the way, he saw a place with a silver dragon. He knew he would need a weapon to fight against the Dark Mystic Society. Inside, people were hammering in a forge. It was the Draconic Forge, and Guak Yongai, the Vice Master, received him, asking if he was there for a refund. Zaha said no, he came to buy items, and the guy asked if he wanted a kitchen knife. Zaha explained he was going to fight against the Cho family, so if he wanted some rare things. Guak said he knew he had been beaten, but shouldn't lose his head over it. Zaha told him to shut up and quickly bring a sword, a whip, or a sharp dagger. The guy asked if he was going to use all that, and Zaha told him to stop asking questions. He looked at the guys and told them to bring the Black Dragon sword, the White Dragon whip, and the Cloud Dragon dagger. Guak said since his grandparents died, the inn's soup had been horrible. Zaha began to wonder if he should finish off that guy until the weapons arrived. Suddenly, someone appeared asking what was happening. It was Chan Chuyan, the master of the forge. The man said that the crazy guy here wanted to go against the Cho family and was asking to borrow weapons for 50 Niangs. The master recognized him as the son of the innkeeper and said he used to love the soup there until his grandparents died, and now it was terrible. Guak mentioned he had already warned about this. The master asked why he had problems with the Cho family and said he could help him. If the guys didn't listen to him, he would even protect him here at the forge. Zaha asked why he would do that, and the master said it was better not to worsen the situation. Zaha was a bit confused, not remembering this guy being like this. Could it be that he changed after the time travel? He thanked him for the consideration but said he would resolve it alone. The master wanted to know what he planned to do. Zaha asked what he thought about gathering all the blacksmiths in the region and establishing the Steel Dragon sect. The Forge Master was a bit confused about establishing a sect. Zaha said if the Shadow Society formed a sect in the city, everyone would lose. That's why he wanted to create one before them. The amusement parks would belong to the Rebirth sect, the blacksmiths to the Dragon sect, the architects to the Shuki sect, and he would gather others to form more sects. They were silent. Zaha said the goal was to ensure the hard-earned money they made wasn't stolen. The master said it sounded like a sloppy plan but was a good thought. What would it be called? Zaha said it would combine the name of a place for renegades with a dirty end and would be called the House sect. The master was silent, thinking about it for a while. He said it was interesting to see an errand boy dreaming so big, but how would he deal with the Cho brothers? Zaha just smiled, saying he would see. With that, the master told them to give the weapons to the boy for free and told him they would continue this conversation if he survived. Zaha went back home to train. Outside, he heard some sounds. People were already digging his grave. The first Cho brother, who commanded the city, arrived and said he would call him when the hole was finished. He slammed a knife on the table, saying he was the damned errand boy. Zaha sat down. The guy said today was a great day as they had received approval from the Mystical Society, but he heard the damned errand boy caused trouble at the amusement park. He then asked for 3 reasons to let him live. Zaha chuckled, making the guy even angrier. He asked if Zaha expected him to cry. The guy reached for the knife on the table, but there was nothing. It was already in Zaha's hand. He pricked his hand and said now he wanted a reason to let Cho live. Cho understood why the errand boy caused trouble at the amusement park. The guys digging the holes said it was ready. He told them to dig even deeper, and they just obeyed. Cho looked at him and said he must have gone through some enlightenment. He then attacked, congratulating him. A quick move hit his bicep. Cho noticed his hand was already pricked again. Zaha asked what the hole was for. The guy said it was just to make a threat, but he pulled the blade and asked for a reason to let him live. The guy didn't know what to say. Zaha said it seemed even he didn't believe he deserved a reason to stay alive. He knew very well this guy was part of human trafficking and killed many people who didn't do what he wanted. The guy started shouting that if he did anything to the brothers of the Mystical Society, it was over. He felt it instantly. A blade was already in his chest. Zaha said he asked for a reason not to kill him, not threats. He looked at the guys behind and saw they were still digging. He told them to stop. When they looked, they saw their boss collapse on the table. Zaha said not to be surprised, but the boss was playing with a knife and got distracted. The guys stared at each other, thinking it didn't make sense. They asked who he was. Zaha said it was obvious. He was an errand boy from the inn. He stood up and said he wanted to know them too and told them to take off their masks. With little choice, they removed their masks. Zaha said he didn't recognize them and asked if they were from the Mystical Society. The guys said no, they came to work at the Pier Blossom amusement park. Man, there are a lot of amusement parks in this city, it's guaranteed fun. Zaha gave them a choice. Either they die there or they bury that person and return to their hometown. However, the guys began to plead, saying they couldn't go back to their hometowns. Zaha told them just to take care of the dead and disappear from there. One guy asked if by any chance he needed a cook. Zaha asked if he could make chicken noodle soup and the guy said it was basic. Sure, he could make a delicious one. But suddenly, he said it didn't matter and told him to take care of his own life. The two continued burying the body, looking exhausted. With that, the demon went back inside. He asked what Sumti was doing there. Sumti said he was impressed he had really defeated Cho. Zaha said he would never die to someone so weak and asked if his eyes were better. Sumti said yes, he was just using it as an excuse to observe certain things because he was a sharp guy. Otherwise, he would be dead like the other. Zaha thanked him for telling the guy to come there. Sumti said he didn't have much choice since it was the only way to survive. Then he asked how he would deal with the other 2 Cho brothers. Zaha said obviously he would kill them both. If he left them alive, the Yan province would suffer even more. Sumti told him to be careful with Cho Ilshin, who was the worst villain in that place. Zaha called his name and Sumti asked what it was. He then told Sumti to go buy some snacks because he was hungry. Sumti found it strange since they had been talking about the plan until now, but he just stared and asked if there were no ingredients to make it. He said no. Sumti said he understood and asked for money to buy them. Obviously, he said he didn't have any either. With that, Sumti left, saying he would buy them. Not before Zaha asked that he was going out for a walk. He asked why and Zaha said he was walking too slowly. The poor guy left running angrily. A while later, he had brought the feast. Zaha told him to eat plenty, using the money he earned exploiting young girls and selling fake liquor. Sumti trembled and Zaha asked if he had lost his appetite. He took a quick gulp and slammed the cup on the table, saying he was just annoyed with the meal he bought that wasn't very good. Then he said he was curious to know how the Shadow Society would act. Zaha told him it was better to train to get stronger instead of worrying. He told him to stop involving others in his problems, saying things like, "What will we do?" Suddenly, Sumti stood up, asking if he was some kind of disguised bastard. Zaha asked if he wanted to die or if he was eager to find out the answer in the afterlife. Sumti fell silent. The demon said it was okay. He would kill Cho Il-seum first because he didn't know where the other was. Sungtae said his tone was the same as people used when saying they were going to the bathroom. Zaha replied that it didn't matter, he just didn't know how to kill the other because the guy was hiding. Sungtae said the guy would soon appear in the city. The protagonist was curious and asked Sungtae if he could kill the guy alone. Confidently, Sungtae said yes, he would take down that guy. But then he said he had an injured eye, so it would be a bit difficult. Zaha got angry, telling the bastard to decide if he could kill or not. He apologized, saying he would take his time using stealth to his advantage. Had he never heard of Cho Sungtae, the stealthy man? Bastard. Zaha said enough with the talk and asked if he killed the 3 guys if he could really take care of the 3 amusement parks. Sungtae said he was Cho Sungtae. Zaha got angry, saying many people make a living at the amusement park, so they can't just end it. They just need to ensure everyone gets the right money for their work and isn't sold fake liquor. They will take care of the sick when they need help, and if someone wants to return to their hometown, they will let them. Sungtae said that it would be very difficult. However, our protagonist said it had to be done even if it was difficult because it would be better than having to kill our dear Cho Sungtae. He would let him manage the amusement parks, but if things went wrong, he would have to ensure personal care like the Cho brothers. Suddenly, Sungtae said that was enough. Anything he did, he was threatened with death and he would flee to the mountains. Zaha said he was free to flee, he would just find someone else to manage the 3 brothels. Sungtae then brightened up, saying he was Cho Sungtae and it was too early for retirement. Suddenly, Zaha stood up and started taking off his clothes, scaring Sungtae, who asked what he was doing. He said he was taking off his clothes to wear Sungtae's. It was better for him to shut up and go change. Sungtae called him a damn thief until he saw Zaha's glare and quickly said he was talking about Cho and Sun. That guy was the real bastard, he could take the clothes and go kill him. However, he praised Zaha, saying he was smart for taking noble clothes to enter a fancy place like that. If he didn't, he would be stopped at the entrance. Zaha didn't seem to care about what he said, tied his hair, and was ready to leave. Sungtae said he looked spectacular, like the errand boy, but also not. He looked like a beggar before, but now he was even more handsome. He gave Sungtae a punch on the back of the neck to stop him from talking nonsense. With that, he left. Sungtae wished him luck and asked him to take care of the clothes. As he walked away, Sungtae cursed him but wished him luck. The protagonist arrived in front of the Pier amusement park. The guys greeted him, and he asked for the owner, Cho Il-seum. The attendant asked who he was before responding. Zaha said he was from the Mystic Shadow Society and wanted to see the owner. The guy asked his name again but got slapped in the face. Zaha said he was a busy man and to stop stalling. The guy apologized. With that, the door opened and the guy asked him to follow. He led him to a room and told him to wait there, saying he would inform the owner. Zaha calmly sat in the leader's chair, thinking it was impressive. The guy had already planned to attend to the Mystic Society and build another society in the Mirim world. Suddenly, the owner appeared, saying it was the first time he saw him. Angry that the brat visited him so late at night and still sat in his chair, he apologized for asking but wanted to know his rank in the Mystic Society. Zaha asked where he heard he was from the Mystic Society. The guy said he heard it from his subordinates. Smiling, Zaha asked if he really didn't recognize him. At that moment, the guy realized it was the errand boy from the inn. He started trembling with rage and asked how he dared to do that. But he remembered his brother said he went out to kill him. Zaha asked if he was an idiot. The fact that he was alive meant his brother was dead. Hearing that left the guy in disbelief. His brother had died to an errand boy. Zaha said yes. And when he went outside, the guy had even dug a hole to bury him. Suddenly, the guy lunged forward, asking how he dared. But Zaha just glanced, prepared for the attack, and easily stopped his palm, sending all the power back and throwing him to the other side of the room. The second brother couldn't believe he lost in terms of energy. Zaha stood up, saying that considering how famous he was quite weak. The man wondered how the errand boy from a few days ago had become so strong. Zaha asked why he was hesitating. If he didn't attack, he would. The guy was startled and tried to protect himself. Zaha went face to face against his palm and with one blow threw him to the other side of the room again, hitting the wall and being completely wrecked. Zaha looked at the ground where he was already spitting red liquor, asking how he knew those techniques. But he ignored it and grabbed him by the neck, asking if he thought it was wrong for an errand boy to be training. He continued crushing his neck, saying the guy was careless despite having ruled that place for so long. The guy begged him to stop, but he slammed his body to the ground. The impact shook the entire place and everyone rushed to see the dead chief. Zaha asked what they were going to do now that they arrived only after their lord's death. Then he informed them that the leader of the Shadow Society had changed his mind and would delay the creation of the sect in this province. He used Cho as an example, and if anyone questioned it, they already knew what would happen. The men fell silent, obviously. He told everyone who wanted to stay alive to clear the way, and he walked through calmly. One of them commented that it was the inn boy Zaha. They remarked that even though he changed clothes, there was no forgetting that face. Zaha turned and asked what they were going to do because he really was the errand boy. The poor guys almost exploded with anger. Zaha just wanted to know why they got so angry after knowing he was the errand boy. If anyone wanted to accompany Cho to hell, they should step forward and he would send them. No one said anything. One of them finally asked why he killed their lord. Zaha smiled, saying he didn't need a reason to kill someone like him. And with that, he left. When he got home, Sungtae said he returned very quickly. He thought he had gone to kill Cho. Zaha just entered, saying the guy was already dead. If he didn't believe it, he could go look. Sungtae couldn't believe it because it had only been a few hours since he left home. Not to mention he returned unscathed. How did this son of a friendly mother get so strong? Zaha just went to his room and told him to clean everything before leaving. The poor guy stood there desolate, wondering how anyone had the nerve to order Cho Sungtae to clean something. But of course, he was already looking around for a broom. Meanwhile, Zaha went to his room to practice. He concentrated, remembering that fight and realizing he was getting much stronger than he thought. He practiced all night until the sunrise the next day. Sungtae walked around the city where everyone talked about Cho Ishin's death. Meanwhile, Zaha was still in disbelief at how fast he was evolving. He was going to become stronger than in his past life, and it wouldn't take that long. His room got dirty after he practiced because he cleansed the impurities from his body. Someone outside was asking what that horrible smell was in the house. It was Sungtae asking if by chance he had soiled himself. Zaha got angry and Sungtae ran off, telling him to use the bathroom next time. The poor guy was passed out on the floor. After a while, Zaha had taken a bath, remembering that Sungtae threatened him with a knife not to approach him smelling bad. He said he swore he would kill that guy. Suddenly, the door opened and Zaha was startled. It was the legendary Cha Hyang who came to deliver a towel. He asked why she came in. She said she came to help him bathe. He was confused and she said it was Sungtae's request. If he didn't want her to do anything, she would at least help him dry off when he finished. The demon said it was okay and that she didn't need to come anymore. He then said he would also talk to Sungtae, not to ask her to do such things. She should act as a hostess and not the queen of bungee jumping. He sulked in the bathtub, thinking Sungtae really didn't change. Meanwhile, Cha Hyang observed silently. She thanked him and apologized for what happened before. He said it was fine and in the past now. Suddenly, she said she heard he was very strong and asked why he decided to get beaten. The shameless one said he got beaten just to be able to take revenge on others. He said a knight's revenge that takes 10 years is not much, but an errand boy's revenge starts the moment he gets beaten. She asked if that was some deep saying. He said no, he just made up that crap and went back to relaxing in the bathtub. He thought these guys were very bold to try to use beauty to take him down. Things like well-trained women in the art of squatting wouldn't work against him. This rascal was forgetting what his regret was before he died. He remembered that the left arm said beautiful women didn't work on him. Obviously, he got angry remembering that. Suddenly, Sungtae burst in, breaking the door, saying there was a fire. Zaha wanted to know why he was so upset about a little fire. Sungtae said it started in their quarters. They then went to Zaha's house, which was on fire. He was right there listening to everything. A guy in a yellow robe said anyone who helps the boy Zaha would die. Someone warned that the brother's grave was behind the house, and he was really going to do this. The guy suddenly turned around, asking who said that. Zaha appeared, calling him a son of a mother. Confused, the guy asked who the hell he was. The demon said the guy had the nerve to burn his quarters and still ask that. He got angry, asking who that damn person was and where the errand boy was. The guy in the hat next to him asked if it was him, and the guy said yes. Angrily, he asked if he had been brought to kill a damn errand boy, and questioned if he hadn't said the brothers would create a sect. Yet he was having trouble dealing with an errand boy, and had these grand dreams. The last of the Cho brothers didn't know what to say. The guy in the hat said he couldn't raise his sword against an errand boy, or everyone would laugh at him and told the guy to kill him himself. The last brother was scared, asking what he was talking about. The guy said if he couldn't kill an errand boy, his goals didn't make sense. He hesitated, not knowing what to say. Zaha said the guy was right. He should have more sense. He should stop making others do his work and fight on his own. A fight where the loser would die in the fire. The guy in the hat was impressed with Zaha's ego, and then said he, known Jisiak of the Black Hurricane Castle, would witness their fight to the death. They stood face to face with Sampian, wondering how his brother died to that damn errand boy. However, Zaha had already noticed the guy in the hat was just trying to analyze his skills. The fire burned the house as they stared at each other. Zaha glanced, quickly approached. Sampian asked what he was doing. Zaha was confused, and the guy told him to grab a sword. It didn't make sense otherwise. But Zaha said he wouldn't use a sword to deal with someone like him. Angrily, the guy charged. He attempted a cut, but Zaha dodged to the side, prepared a punch, and hit right in the ribs. The poor guy spat out yesterday's lunch and fell to the ground. Zaha told him to get up quickly. He hadn't even used all his strength. Sampian couldn't stand the humiliation and attacked again. The blade stopped an inch from Zaha's face because he had easily blocked his hand. He said he was just another careless one, like all the brothers. It would indeed be better if none of them returned to the village. He took the blade from his hand and slashed his chest. The poor guy fell lifeless. His body hit the ground with a thud. The crowd couldn't believe it was the same errand boy, Zaha, while he looked at the fire, wondering how they dared to burn it. Suddenly, Jisiak said it was a great show, and he had good skills. He then started to leave, saying they would see each other soon when something happened. But Zaha asked where that well-mannered son of a mother thought he was going. The guy looked back, asking how he dared to stop him. Zaha said he didn't care who he was, pointing the blade at him, asking if he really thought he would leave after burning his inn. Suddenly, Jisiak started to flee. Zaha got angry, jumped, ran toward him, and landed right in front of him. Jisoo prepared an attack and struck, but Zaha looked back and cut the attack in half. The blades cut across the field. While Zaha stared coldly, Jisoo was split in half. Another body fell lifeless. The burning in collapsed. The people watching couldn't believe it. Sumtae, seeing that, didn't know what to say. It was already madness that Sampang had lost so easily at that guy on the ground. He had no idea who that guy was, but he was sure he wasn't supposed to die so easily. Zaha called out to everyone, asking if they were going to say who ordered them to burn the house or burn with it. The men apologized, begging not to die. Zaha wanted to know why they burned that place. Suddenly, Sumtae raised his hand in the crowd and said it was probably because it smelled like crap. The last time he entered that place, he thought about burning it too. Zaha was furious, wondering if he should kill that son of a mother. Then, out of sheer anger, he called Sumtae and told him to gather all those bastards and rebuild the inn. In a tired voice, Sumtae asked why it had to be him. Zaha said he had been very nice these days and he seemed very confident that he wouldn't die. The guy was silent for a second, then said the inn would be even better than before. They had plenty of space, so it would be an incredible 2-story building. Zaha said to build a wall around it and also include a gym and a training area. Sumtae asked if he didn't want a martial arts space. Zaha said no, he wanted an inn with a martial space around it. Thoughtfully, Sumtae said he understood and would keep that in mind. They would call it Zaha's Training Inn. Zaha told him to keep an eye out for talented people during the construction. Sumtae realized the plans hadn't changed and asked if he thought the Shadow Society would just sit back. But the demon said if they didn't sit back, he would take care of things. Sumtae asked what the name of the organization would be, and Zaha said it would be How. That was the name of the first organization he joined in his past life. Sumtae thought for a moment and asked if he should call him the Master of How. Zaha said he could do whatever he wanted about that. Then Sumtae said he was sure Zaha wasn't the same person he used to know. He wanted to ask a question. Zaha stared at him and Sumtae hesitated. He said he couldn't understand why Zaha let him live. With great seriousness, Zaha said he let him live just to toy with him. Sumtae was startled and said he understood. At least it was better than dying. Later, at the brothel, the rascal was getting stronger while Sumtae was studying some scriptures. Another day dawned and he went to pass construction orders to the people. While Zaha was waking up after another night of training, he just opened his eyes and asked who it was. Sumtae said they were men from the Shadow Society who used to be well treated by Sho. Zaha asked how many there were and he said 2. They were well treated, so he wanted to know how they would deal with these guys now. Zaha got up, saying he would talk to them, and Sumtae asked if he was going to kill him. Zaha said he already knew they would ignore the deaths of the Shu brothers and tell him to pay debts and join the Shadow Society. Hesitantly, Sumtae said it would be very dangerous if he went against the entire Shadow Society. Zaha said it would be dangerous for others, not for him. Sumtae asked if he meant everyone else would die, but the demon told him to relax. The guys would do something to him before trying anything against others, and he wouldn't die. He then entered the room where the men were seated. Sumtae closed the door and Zaha sat down. The first guy introduced himself as Janpeng from the Mystic Shadow Society, and the chubby one introduced himself as Hang Gu Wook from the Golden Peak office. Zaha showed no reaction to the names, and the guys didn't like that. The skinny one asked if he was the one who killed the Shu brothers. Zaha simply said yes. The guys were silent. Zaha asked if they were brothers despite having different names. They shook their heads, saying no, while wondering who this guy thought he was to be so arrogant. Either he was very deluded or overly confident. Zaha said he already knew he was handsome, but there was no need to be so shy and quiet in front of him. The guys were losing their minds already. But the demon knew these guys would control themselves because they were there to collect funds. Janpeng said the last Shu brother had given permission to create a sect in this province, but Zaha killed the guy. Zaha said he didn't care about that. The guy even warned that if they told the Shadow Society about this, things would get complicated for him. Smiling, the demon said he understood what he meant. They wanted him to pay a bribe like Sho's brother did before. The guy smiled, saying it looked like he wasn't such a bad boy after all. Zaha then said it was time for a drink and called for Miss Soon. She entered the room and he asked her to bring that trash Duquan liquor and some snacks. She paused to think about what the trashy Duquan was and then remembered it was the award-winning one, saying she understood and left. The chubby guy said the alcohol wasn't that important. He just wanted to clearly agree on the terms before leaving. But Zaha asked why they wouldn't focus on the alcohol. Hang Gu slammed the table, asking if he thought he would get away with this. Zaha just stared and asked if he wanted to bet a hand in a fight. The two couldn't understand how the errand boy was so confident. Zaha asked if they thought the Shadow Society would come here without losing anything. If he were afraid of the Mystic Society, he wouldn't have killed the Shu brothers. He at least hoped these guys worked better, because the Shu brothers were 3 careless fools. They were sweating bullets as Zaha warned them they had to make a decision before the woman returned with the alcohol. At that moment, they would get a one-way ticket to hell. The door was opening and he asked what their choice would be. He glared and she reached the door. When she looked, the guys were smiling, saying they would definitely speak highly of him to the Mystic Society and he didn't need to worry. Zaha gave a little smile and asked if it was true if he could trust them. The guy said he could trust them since they also hated those Shu brothers. In the next scene, the two were running out of the inn. Sungtae asked if it was okay to let them go like that. Zaha said it didn't matter. The society didn't care about this place as long as they believed there was someone here they could control. He knew the only person he couldn't handle in this whole place was a guy called the Butcher. He then told Sungtae that he would have to gather all the other guys from the brothels and also manage the Hao clan. Sungtae was shocked, but Zaha had already left, saying if he tried to steal any money, he would lose that position. Sungtae asked what would happen if he lost the position. Obviously, Zaha said death awaited him. Sungtae complained it was unfair, but Zaha said that's how it worked in this clan and congratulated him on becoming the Grand Administrator. The bastard seethed with rage while Zaha left humming. He went to what seemed like a restaurant and found the weapons master there. The attendant asked what he wanted and he ordered a delicious bowl of noodles. The master said he had really dealt with Cho Ilsium and Cho Sampium, but now the Shadow Society would come and many young people would die. Zaha kept wondering if this guy was like this in his past life, but he said people would be fine since the Shadow Society would come after him. The master, scared, asked if he was going against the society alone, and he said yes. The master said it was difficult, but it was already unbelievable that the errand boy had killed the Chu brothers. Because of that, today he would pay the bill. Zaha asked how he had the nerve to make a poor errand boy pay the bill, but the master said he was no longer the errand boy, but the leader of the Hao clan. Duk Soo-hyun appeared, asking what clan that was, and Zaha said he was now part of it too. The guy pointed to himself, saying he had never heard of it. How was he part of the clan? Zaha explained that anyone he knew was automatically enrolled and from now on had to serve free noodles to the sect leader. Duk-soo asked why he was saying these things when suddenly someone shouted for Zaha to come out. Outside was a guy in a hat with a scar on his face. Duk-soo asked him to leave as it seems someone wanted to talk to the sect leader but not before telling him to be careful. The master also told him to be cautious, saying his back was hurting. Zaha left, saying he was only the leader when there was trouble, it seemed. Outside, it was raining. The guy in the straw hat asked if he was the one who killed Jizyuk. Zaha didn't remember clearly, but said he had heard that name before. He recalled the guy in the hat and asked if it was that scoundrel. The guy then introduced himself as Wei Xianwu from the Dark Exploration. Zaha recognized him as the Twin Sword Demon, someone who also pursued him for a long time but whom he eventually killed. The guy asked why he killed Jizyuk, and Zaha said it was because he burned his house. Wei Xianwu said that wasn't a reason, but now he would die too. But before starting, Zaha asked if he really believed things would go as he wanted, probably going wrong just like his baldness. Man, don't insult the guy for being bald. Lightning struck the field and he charged forward, a single cut that Zaha dodged. He swept his foot on the ground and splashed water toward his eye. Zaha knew very well that they were the Twin Sword Demons, so the other had to be somewhere nearby. The guy tried to slash with a blade, but he blocked it with his sword. Another slash, and he stepped back, easily dodging. Zaha knew the guy was attacking in a way that allowed him to defend, so his brother would come from behind. Suddenly, Sungtae appeared, calling for him, and Zaha told him to be careful because the guy was a martial arts master. Sungtae, feeling confident, began to remove his blindfold. While Zaha dodged blows, he warned him there was another guy hiding, so he should be careful. Sungtae looked around, searching, unaware someone was on top of the house who suddenly jumped off the roof, landing next to his brother. The rascal was shocked to see there was indeed another. Sunwoo was impressed that he knew about both of them from the beginning and told his brother to be careful because Zaha was hiding his power. Suddenly, the two charged at him. The three were facing off when someone made everyone stop. It was Sungtae, saying he was also participating in the fight. They should realize he was in this battle too because he was very dangerous. He yelled that he was going to participate and they should be prepared. It was going to be 2 against 2. He insulted the bald guy, saying he would polish his head. The bald guy got angry and came to slash at him. Sungtae tried to defend, but the impact sent him rolling and he hit the ground pretending to be dead. Zaha told him to get up, saying he knew very well he was faking it. So he got up, of course, having to clean the mud off his clothes. Zaha asked if he really thought that would work. Sungtae said yes, because as soon as they let their guard down, he would finish them off. The brothers were angry, realizing these guys were playing around in front of them. Sungtae got serious and then said it was funny when the water hit the bald guy's head, making it look like the rain was dancing. Angrily, the bald guy charged again, this time at Sungtae, but Zaha defended him. The guy changed the direction of his strike, trying to hit him from the side, but Zaha easily blocked it again. With that, he backed off and so did the guys. Zaha in that situation realized it was the first time he was fighting someone decent since he came back. Smiling, he thought the fight was exciting. One of the brothers couldn't believe the bastard was smiling. He then drew his blade, unleashing a red aura. His body and blade were covered by it. Everyone noticed. Sungtae asked why there was a crimson light around the sword. The brothers recognized it as the sword Kai. Zaha just stood there staring at them. The brothers looked at each other and charged at him. They ran around him, looking for an opening until they suddenly attacked simultaneously. Zaha calmly looked and slashed a red cut at both of them. The blade moved like a whip and both bodies fell lifeless. Both Sungtae and those inside the restaurant were speechless. Zaha just stood there in the rain. Sungtae came over, thanked him for his hard work, and asked who they were. Zaha said they were from the Dark Exploration. Sumte was shocked. Those guys were above the mystic society, and this was getting too big. But the demon just ignored it and said he was going home to take a bath. From inside the restaurant, the master realized it was true that he had killed the Sho brothers. Zaha was calmly in the bathtub. His biggest concern was not being able to kill the people he had killed in his other life. Until suddenly he felt something was silent outside. Two guys opened the door and Zaha recognized them. They were the owners of the other brothel he sent Sumte to take over. Zaha asked if it had something to do with Sumte, but the guys weren't there to talk and charged at him. He made a slash in the bathtub, sending all the water splashing towards them. They had to defend themselves, and he took the opportunity to grab each by the chest, twist his hands, and slam them against the wall. The demon knew them very well and just wanted to know if this was a plan by Sumte, since he was unarmed at the moment. He left the room and asked the guy where Sumte was. The trembling guy said he wasn't around. Zaha told him to speak up, and the guy said he had left some time ago. Zaha went out into the rain, searching for him. He had to show what happens to anyone who bears their fangs at him. Suddenly, he heard Sumte's voice nearby and ran to see. Walking down the street, there were many bodies. He didn't know what was happening there. As he turned the corner, he saw a group of guys in a corridor. They were cornering Sumte against the wall, saying he was tired and finished. Zaha was startled and asked if he was still alive. Sumte shouted, asking for a like on this video to help Momoro make more juicy content for his viewers. Don't forget to activate the cheeky little bell, and I'm out.